Okay, welcome back to A New York State of Mind. Hi, I'm your host, Ralph Miranda. I'm joined by our producer, Nathan Miranda. And it's time for another one of our analyses of the New York Yankees. And last time we got together, there was a little bit of euphoria from the trade day deadline. And the Yankees getting all those closers from different teams, Jake Bird, David Bednar, Camilo Doval. The Yankees had just come off a series win over the Tampa Bay Rays at home, beating them 3 out of 4 games. They were sitting at 60-49. They were 4 games behind the Blue Jays, and it looked like, hey, we've got a new makeup of this team. We've won 3 out of the last 4. Maybe this is the time. Maybe this is it. So then the Yankees get on an airplane, and they go down to Miami to play the Marlins. And the Marlins, at first thought when you hear Miami Marlins, you think, well, this team is not very good. They're the Marlins. But the Marlins were sneaky good. I mean, they started out the season very poorly, but coming into the Yankee series, they were 27-14 over their last 41 games, which was the best record during that stretch in the major leagues. So there was something good about the Marlins going on. They're a young team. They've called up a couple of guys from the minors this past weekend. They're pitching. They've got some young, strong pitching. So, they weren't as bad as everybody thought. But we still thought the Yankees were going to win this series, okay? So we start out on Friday night. And Friday night, I don't really know how to start, but probably the worst conceivable loss that the Yankees could have had. It wasn't like losing Game 7 of the 2000 World Series back when they were 3-time in a row world champions, or losing Game 5 of last year's World Series. In terms of importance, no, Friday night wasn't at the same level. But in terms of probability or where they stood in the standings, it was probably as bad as it gets. The Yankees on Friday had a 6-0 lead at one time. They had a 9-4 lead at one time. And in the bottom of the 9th, they had nobody out, the Marlins, and 1 out. Nobody on and 1 out. So today is different from the 60s and the 70s when I grew up. Everything is probabilities now, right? I mean, ESPN has projected probabilities to win, and they can calculate all sorts of probabilities. So when the Yankees went up 6-0, they had a 96% chance of winning. When they went up 9-4, their chance of winning went up to 97%. And when they retired the first batter of the 9th with nobody on, it was 95%. You'd think they'd win that game, right? Each of those times, the Marlins had a quote-unquote 3% odd of winning, 4%, and 5%, and they erased all of those and won the game. So how does that happen, you might say? Well, that's really a good question. It was almost like a perfect storm of badness, if that's a correct word for the Yankees. They bring in all these young guys, or not young guys, they bring in all these guys in the trade deadline. And they all got a chance to perform Friday night. First, they bring in Jake Bird with a 9-4 lead, the closer or reliever they got from the Rockies. Bird was able to get only through 1/10 of an inning, okay? In other words, he only got 1 out. He gave up 3 hits, 4 runs, all of them earned, a strikeout, a walk, and a home run. And the home run happened to be a grand slam to Stowers that made the game 9-8. So then the Yankees bring in David Bednar, the closer they got from the Pirates. Well, Bednar proceeded to pitch 1 2/3 innings, but it was the first 2/3 that really got them in trouble. He gave up 4 hits, 2 runs, 2 of them earned, 2 strikeouts, no walks, and a home run. The home run tying the game at 9-9. In the bottom of the 8th, I guess it was the bottom of the 7th, Anthony Volpe ties the game with a home run. So now it's 10-10. So we go to the 9th inning, and the Yankees had ended up going up 12-10 in the top of the 9th. So they were at the bottom of the 9th. They bring in Camilo Doval, the third guy they got from the Giants, closer from the Giants. He gets 1 out. okay, only could get one out. That's the only out he got. He ended up giving up 2 hits, 3 runs, but only one of those runs was earned, and 1 walk. The reason 1 was earned is because another one of their pickups, Jose Caballero, they got from the Rays, they put him in right field. The Marlins had runners on first and second. One of those got there via the walk by Duvall. Base hit to right field. He goes to field the ball. 1 run is probably going to score to make it 12-11. And then he ends up letting the ball get through his legs, and the Marlins end up winning the ball game. So just a perfect storm of errors and mishaps and poor performances. Probably the worst loss the Yankees have ever had, in my estimation. Okay, so then we go to Saturday. Now, most teams that I know, football, baseball, you name it, when they get humiliated or they get a loss like that, they come out fighting the next night. Now, they may not win, but they come out fighting. So what do the Yankees do? They come out on Saturday, and they end up losing the game 2-0. And it wasn't so much the 2-0 loss, it was the way the Yankees performed. They had 2 hits the whole night. 2 hits. Both of those runs came off of home runs. All right? The same guy hit the home runs in that game. The interesting thing about that was that the home runs were given up by Cam Schlittler. Okay, he's the rookie. He hasn't had an easy go of it. I mean, he's had starts against some pretty good teams, one of them being the Blue Jays. But he gave up 2 home runs, okay? And the interesting thing about those home runs was that both of them came from a young man by the name of Agustin Ramirez. He had come into that game with 1 career home run, and he hit 2 against Schlittler. So that was the first problem. So you figure you only give up 2 runs, you have a good chance of winning, right? Well, no. The Yankees had 2 hits the whole night. 2 hits. One by Ben Rice, one by Giancarlo Stanton. At one point in the game, Jazz Chisholm was walked. Goldschmidt comes up and hits a short pop fly to the second baseman, maybe 2 to 3 feet outside of the infield onto the grass. My first thought in the heat of the moment was, why did Chisholm not realize that the infield fly rule would be called? But come to think about it, the infield fly rule is only called when there's runners on first and second base and less than 2 outs. So no infield fly rule. So Chisholm, what does he do? He gets about 6 to 7 feet off of the first base bag and just stands there and looks up in the air like he's looking for the ball. And he stands there. And by the time the second baseman catches it, he tries to get back, but the guy just guns it to first base and they double him up. So one of the more boneheaded plays the Yankees have made on the base paths. But what are you thinking there? His explanation to it was, well, I thought he was going to try to drop it on purpose and get a double play. Well, you know, there's no way that's going to happen, because if Goldschmidt is running to first base hard, which he should be, he may get you at second, Chisholm, but you're just going to trade places with Goldschmidt and we're still going to have a runner on first. So it was a horrible explanation. He goes into the dugout, and Aaron Boone, does Aaron Boone confront him in the dugout? No. Aaron Boone walks with him into the clubhouse where nobody can see. Now, we don't know what went on there, right? He could have yelled at him, could have patted him on the back, he could have kissed him. We don't know what happened, okay? But then in front of the cameras in the dugout, Boone berates the first base coach. So this is interesting, right? I mean, if you look at the dynamics of a team that's struggling and a manager that is quote unquote on the hot seat, I doubt he is, but he should be, it's always deflecting blame, right? You're not going to blame the player, but you're going to lash out at one of your coaches. Now, you can argue that the coach should have been yelling, get back, get back, get back. What are you doing? And I don't know if he did or not. We couldn't hear it, and we never did get an explanation. But you don't berate your coach in front of the cameras if you're not going to berate your player in front of the cameras. You know, that takes me back to the Yankees back about in the 70s when the Bronx Zoo, as they used to call them. They were the defending world champs. And you remember, I don't know if everybody remembers, but Reggie Jackson was playing right field and he loafed after a ball. Billy Martin pulled him out of the game the next inning. Pulled him out, sent a guy out there to replace him, and just lashed into him in the dugout, okay? You got to hold your players accountable, okay? I mean, these guys are not accountable. When they're interviewed after the game, it's like, well, I still think we're a good team. We got to get more urgency. Well, do it. I mean, what are they saying, And I go back to something I said, I think this was a few weeks ago, but I think it was after the Reds series, when they salvaged the last game of the series against the Reds in Cincinnati. Boone was interviewed after the game, Chisholm, and they asked him about Aaron Boone. He goes, he's a good friend of mine. We're good friends. Well, I thought that was kind of weird. You shouldn't be good friends with your manager. You should respect him as a manager. He should be a good manager to you, whatever, but good friends. And I think that's the problem. I think Aaron Boone wants to be friends with these guys. And when you're a manager of a team, you can't do that. Okay? You just can't do that. And then you multiply on top of that the fact that he's not a very good manager, okay, and we'll talk about this later, with some of the decisions he makes, and you end up having a cluster, okay? And, it's been one base running problem after the next. I mean, Volpe's gotten picked off bags a couple times. In one of those games, I think it was Sunday or maybe it was Saturday, Chisholm tries to score from second base. The third base coach sends him, should not have sent him. He's gunned out at the plate. In the Tampa series, Austin Wells is on second base with one out. There's a pop-up. They catch it for the second out. Wells just saunters off the bag like he's walking back to the dugout. They throw it to the shortstop. He tags him out. You know what the problem was there? Wells forgot how many outs there were. You're a Major League Baseball player. How do you forget how many outs there were when you're in scoring position? So it's just a cacophony of errors, and that's one whole issue. So the Yankees proceed to lose Saturday, and then we get to Sunday, and what happens on Sunday? Well, the Yankees have a chance to win at least one of the games, and of course they can't do it. Chisholm leads off the game with a home run. They go another 5 innings with no more hits. They end up getting close, 6-4. They give up a run to Miami at 7-4. They end up losing the game and getting swept. First time in history that the Miami Marlins have swept the New York Yankees. And then you can add that to the fact that when they lost 4 straight to Toronto in early July, that was the first time in history the Blue Jays had swept the Yankees. So we're getting into territory here that's unprecedented. I mean, the Yankees are a shell of the team that they once were, or that they should be, given the payroll that they have and given their position in Major League Baseball. And I've talked many times in this podcast about their roster, how poorly it's constructed coming out of spring training, and I'm not going to get into all that again. But I'm going to give you some statistics on some of the guys that are on this team. 2 of them that were brought in at the trade deadline, and 2 that have been starting all year long. Ryan McMahon is the player that they got from Colorado to play third base. Great defensive player, and he's proved that. He's shown that in his week or so with the Yankees. But in the series with Miami, he was 1 for 13 at the plate with 7 strikeouts. 1 for 13 with 7 strikeouts. Now, I thought the Yankees definitely needed a third baseman, but I thought they needed a third baseman that had a little pop in his bat and somebody that hit from the right side of the plate, right? Because the Yankees are a heavily laden left-handed team, but they get a left-handed hitter who can't hit. He's got 16 home runs, but he just doesn't have it. So that's McMahon. Austin Slater, who they brought in from Chicago, only got 1 game that he got at bats in, 0 for 2 strikeouts. Paul Goldschmidt. Goldschmidt started the season hot, but most guys that are older and over the hill will start out hot, but then when you start playing more and more games, age takes over. Goldschmidt is not what he used to be. We know that. okay? But these were his stats for the Miami series. He was 0 for 6 with 4 strikeouts. Austin Wells hitting a crisp 209 as a catcher. I mentioned his base running error. He was 1 for 8 in the series with 2 strikeouts. And these are guys that are playing every day. I mean, how many times have we seen the Yankees come up with runners in scoring position, less than 2 outs, and we get strikeout. Or bases loaded, we get strikeout. It seems like it just happens too much. Okay, and then you take Giancarlo Stanton. The guy's washed up. All right, he's like 4 or 5 strikeouts in a row, and then a hard single, and then another 3 or 4 strikeouts and a home run. But he strikes out 34% of the time. And he can't play the field. He gets hurt all the time. He can't swing at any pitches unless they're right in his wheelhouse. He can hit any pitches that are in his wheelhouse. He swings at a lot of them. So that's another liability. And then what are you going to do when Judge comes back from injury? Judge's injury, his elbow flexor muscle, he's not going to be able to play the field for a while. So you're going to have him DHing. What are you going to do with Stanton? Is he going to play the outfield? I guess they're going to try that. But I don't see how that could happen, to be honest with you. That's another muscle waiting to be pulled out there in the outfield. So it's just one thing after the other. And let's take a look at Jazz Chisholm for a minute. I keep hearing on the Yankee broadcast, what a great player he is and how fortunate the Yankees were to get him from Miami about a year ago. And, he's got some flair, and he does a few good things, but he makes too many boneheaded plays. And he's so undisciplined at the plate that you can't depend upon him. Now, he hit a home run yesterday, 2-run home run, but he strikes out a lot. He argues with the umpire a lot. And this is a guy, he's cocky, okay? And now you may be laughing at that because there's a lot of Major League Baseball players and football players that are cocky. But if you're cocky, you should be able to back it up, right? If you're going to have a chip on your shoulder and be cocky, you should be able to back it up with good performance, all right? So this is a guy that last year in the American League Division Series, the Royals won Game 2, which made the series 1-1 and sent the series back to Kansas City. So Chisholm proceeds to call the Royals win that day lucky. So Chisholm, in that series, went 2 for 15. In the next series, the championship series against the Indians, he went 3 for 19. And then he was 5 for 21 in the World Series. So in the playoffs last year, Jazz Chisholm was 10 for 55, okay? Which is barely 200, with 14 strikeouts. So a guy that does that when the lights are the brightest and the pressure is the highest should not be calling anybody lucky. Now, if I was a manager, I would have stopped that right away. I would have called him in the clubhouse and said, "Do not ever say something like that again." But this is the Yankee team that we have right now. So that's enough of the Miami series for right now. So the Yankees now sit at 60 and 52. They are, let me check this for you. The Yankees are 60 and 52, and currently they are sitting in third place in the American League East. They are 4.5 games behind the Blue Jays. The Red Sox have moved into second place, 3 games behind. The Yankees are now dropped to the second wild card. The Red Sox are the first wild card team with a 2-game lead over the Rangers, who are, a 2-game lead over the Mariners, who are the third wild card team. The Yankees are the second wild card team. They are only a half game better over the Mariners. So that means that if the Mariners win tonight and the Yankees lose tonight, the Yankees are now the third wild card team. And if they lose tonight to the Texas Rangers, who happen to be fourth right now in the wild card standings, the Yankees will only be 1 game ahead of the Rangers to not even make the playoffs. So how important is this series with the Rangers? It's extremely important. If the Yankees get swept in this series, they're on the outside looking into the playoffs. And, we've talked forever about the Yankees roster, right? And I don't want to get into all that again, with names and so forth. But let's take a look at something here that I think is very interesting. Okay. The Yankees it's always been said that the Yankees have the highest roster in baseball, right? Back in the George Steinbrenner era, the Yankees buy their players, okay? Well, maybe, but right now the Yankees roster is $298 million. Remember, there's no salary cap in baseball. So the Yankees have the third highest payroll in the major leagues. The Dodgers have the first highest. They have the highest payroll. The Mets have the second. They're both over $300 million. Then the Yankees are in third. The Phillies, fourth. The Toronto Blue Jays, fifth. The Astros, sixth. Rangers, seventh. Padres, eighth. Braves, ninth. Cubs, 10th. All right? Those are your order of your payroll. Let's take a look at it. The Dodgers, highest payroll. They're currently sitting at 65-47. First in their division. Second seed in the entire playoffs in the National League. The Mets, with the second highest payroll, are 63-49. They're in second in their division, only a half game out, and number 2 in the wild card right now. The Yankees are the third highest payroll. They're 60-52. They're third in their division, and they're second in the wild card. The Phillies are the fourth highest. They're 63-48. They lead their division, and they're the third seed in the playoffs. Toronto, who leads the American League East, 65-48, first in the division, tied for first in the seed of the playoffs. The Astros, who will come into Yankee Stadium for 3 games this weekend, are 62-50, first in their division, third seed in the playoffs. Then let's drop. Texas is not playing very well. They're 7th. San Diego's right in the mix at number 8. And Atlanta, their season is pretty much down the tubes with a lot of injuries and so forth. The Cubs are number 10. They're 65-46, second in their division, only a half game behind Milwaukee, and first in the wild card. Now, let's look a little deeper. The Milwaukee Brewers have the 23rd highest payroll in Major League Baseball. Okay? 23rd highest payroll in Major League Baseball. There's only 30 teams. The Brewers are 67-44, and they lead the Central Division, 2 games ahead of the Cubs. I said a half game, 2 games ahead of the Cubs. And they're 23rd. The Miami Marlins, who just swept the Yankees, are 55-55. They have the lowest payroll in Major League Baseball, $66 million. Lowest payroll. They're 55-55. They just swept the Yankees. They're third in their division, which the Yankees are also. And they are 30-14 in their last 44 games, best in the major leagues. So there's something wrong there, isn't there? I mean, when you look at all these teams and you look at what they're doing, and then you look at the Yankees in there, the Yankees should be first in their division or right up there in second, half a game or 2 games out. But they're not. Now, let's look a little deeper. You say, well, maybe there's not a whole lot to that. But I look a little deeper. Of that $298 million payroll that the Yankees have, okay, 6 players account for 51% of it, okay? Now, who are those 6 players? Well, obviously, one of them is Stanton. He makes $32 million this year. I've already been through Stanton's problems, okay? $32 million for a guy who can't play the field, can only DH, and doesn't even DH every night, and strikes out 33% of the time. Aaron Judge is making $40 million this year. And that's warranted. Aaron Judge is still an MVP candidate, even though he's missed a few games. No question, okay? We've talked about his failings. His failings are in the postseason and in pressure situations. So, yeah, but I'm going to give him his $40 million right now. Now, Garrett Cole, $36 million this year. He's not playing. He tore his UCL, Tommy John surgery. He's going to be out till probably next May or June. The other 3 players account for $43 million. Guess who those guys are? DJ LeMahieu, who was released a few weeks ago, but they have to pay him because it's guaranteed salary. Marcus Stroman, who they released a few days ago, they have to pay him because it's guaranteed salary. And Aaron Hicks, who they released 2 years ago, because they have to pay him. So, 51% of that $298 million is going to 4 guys who are not playing, 3 who will never play for the Yankees again, 1 who'll come back next year, to Aaron Judge and to Stanton, who the Yankees got fleeced in that trade. So again, you look at where they are in the order of salaries for teams and where they are record-wise. Look at how much of that salary is dead money. And that's why you have a situation where you've got guys playing that really shouldn't be playing. And then you look at their minor league. They've traded away so many minor league players. And I know they did it to get guys. But where is the analysis? I mean, you're getting guys that are not performing. You've traded away 2 or 3 catchers, one to the Red Sox a couple years ago, who ended up beating the Yankees in 2 games when they played this year, to keep J.C. Escarra, by the way, who is now at AAA. And you got a couple other catchers they've traded away. You got Austin Wells playing catcher, a young guy who can't hit, and hasn't shown that he's been able to break out of his slump. And if you want to hear something that's even more scary for the Yankees, remember Cody Bellinger started the season cold. But he got really hot, okay? He's hitting 285 now. He's hitting like 350-something since that slump. But he's been like in a mini slump the last 3 or 4 games, because now he's starting to pull off. His right side is flying out from the left side of the plate. And when your right side starts flying out, your head starts moving forward, and you can't make good contact with the ball. Same in golf. You got to keep your head back. You got to keep that right side still. And what's happening? If he's starting to slip back into that and he goes into a slump, you can forget it, okay? I mean, you really can forget it. So here we are. We're faced now with the Yankees. They have 50 games left. 3 games set with the Rangers starting tonight. 3 games with the Astros this weekend, okay? Then they get the Twins, and then they have to play the Cardinals. They do have 6 games with the White Sox left. They have 6 games with the Orioles left. 2 teams that they should dominate, but we know that's not going to happen because the Orioles are a thorn in their side. So we'll see. We're going to see what happens. Now let's talk about Aaron Boone a minute. We've talked a lot about him. The fan base is down on him right now. He really should be fired. I mean, fired for the fact that there's no accountability on this team. He doesn't hold his players accountable. They can't seem to string together any kind of win streak. Since they were 35-20 at one time, and now they're 25 and 32 since then. So the wins and losses aren't there. And then let's take a look at his decisions, okay? His decision making. One of the games this weekend, I believe it was Saturday, late in the game, the Marlins had a left-hander up. So Dominguez is coming up. He's a switch hitter, but he hits better from the left side of the plate. So with a left-handed pitcher, Dominguez is going to swap over to the right side of the plate. Well, Dominguez is not very good from the right side of the plate. So what does Boone do? He decides that he is going to he's going to pinch hit for Dominguez. Okay, he's going to pinch hit for Dominguez. And he's going to bring in a right-handed hitter to face the left-handed pitcher. So he brings in Austin Slater. All right. At first glance, you think, okay, that's a smart move, right? Austin Slater's a right-hander, left-handed pitcher. Soon as he goes to the umpire and the umpire logs it, what does the Miami Marlins manager do? He pulls the pitcher out of the game and he brings in a right-handed pitcher. And Slater proceeds to strike out on 3 pitches. And now there's 2 outs. And of course, the guy after him strikes out. So did you not think that the Marlins manager was going to make that move? Now, when you bring in a reliever, he's got to pitch to 3 batters. Well, isn't that a bonehead move to not know that pitcher had already pitched to 3 batters so they could pull him out? So that was a boneheaded move. Then the next night, he brings in he's got Ben Rice batting, left-hander, against the left-handed pitcher. All right. He substitutes Goldschmidt for Rice to bat right-handed, and Goldschmidt proceeds to strike out. Rice, even though the matchup, it was a smart move from the standpoint of the matchup, but you got to look at your players. You got to know your players. Rice has been putting together really good at-bats. He may get down in the count 0-2, but he'll work it, he'll foul balls off, he'll take balls, he'll work it to 3-2. Before you know it, the pitcher's throw 9 or 10 pitches. And then he'll hit the ball hard somewhere. Maybe an out, but he'll hit it hard. Goldschmidt looks like a little leaguer at the plate. He's waffling at balls, just whiffing at him. I mean, what a bonehead. If you're going to substitute in that situation, bring somebody else in. Bring another right-hander in, okay? Somebody that at least has a chance to get a hit. So these are just small moves that he's made that I just don't understand for the life of me, okay? I mean, and it's not only that, it's a lot of moves. How he manages his bullpen is another thing. Who he brings in and when. Loizaga. The guy, now he's on the DL. And I told our producer off the air, you remember back in April when Stroman pitched against the Giants and gave up like 6 runs in the first. He didn't even get through 1 inning. Magically, he went on the DL with a knee problem and was on it for like 2 months, okay? Why? Because they had Clark Schmidt coming back, and this was a convenient way, without releasing him, to put him on the DL. Well, then they released him 3 days ago. Why'd you release him right then and get somebody better in there, okay? Now you got Loizaga. Loizaga came back from arm injury. Hasn't been the same guy that he was before. His slider has no bite to it. He leaves it in the middle of the plate, and what happens is, boom, goes over the fence, okay? Home run. Now he's magically on the disabled list. And I told our producer, Nathan, I said, you watch. Loizaga will not pitch again this year. Okay, they'll keep him on the DL. They won't give him a rehabs till maybe late August, early September. He won't pitch again because this is their convenient way of not cutting him, but keeping him on the DL. So again, I don't understand it. Now let's look at the lineup for tonight. This is the lineup for tonight. And that's another thing we talked about before, how the lineup changes constantly. I mean, you look at most major league teams, you look at most high school teams for that matter. The lineup stays pretty much the same. The guy who bats first, second, third, he's pretty much the same every night. So you get in a groove. Yankees, I think the only guy that's batted even close to the same position every night is Judge when he was healthy. This is their lineup tonight. You remember the aforementioned Paul Goldschmidt? Yeah, he's going to be leading off tonight at first base. Then they're going to have Ahmad Rosario in right field, the guy they picked up from the Nationals. Okay, I'm okay with that. But guess what? He's a natural shortstop. He's played a little outfield. You know how many innings outfield he's played? 33. Okay? You know how many infield innings that Austin Slater's played? 1,000. But no, Rosario's in right field. He should be at shortstop, and Volpe should be on the bench. But no. Batting third is Cody Bellinger in center field. Okay with that. Giancarlo Stanton, we talked about him. He's in his usual spot, batting fourth at the DH. Austin Slater's going to play left field tonight. All right, that's fine, but I'm not sure the guy can hit, to be honest with you. Jazz Chisholm is at second base. Volpe's at short. Wells is the catcher. Caballero's playing third base. So they gave Ryan McMahon a night off to think about his 1 for 13 and 7 strikeouts in the Marlins series. So what he did tonight was he's got a heavy right-handed lineup. The Rangers are starting a left-hander. And that's okay. I'm okay with that. But didn't I just get done saying a little while ago that we needed a third baseman that was a power hitter and a right-handed batter? No, they got a left-handed batter. So it took 110 games for him to figure out that you got to stock your lineup with right-handers when you've got a left-handed a pitcher? I guess so. So you got Bellinger still a left-hander. Chisholm's a left-hander, and Wells is a left-hander. So 3 of the 8 position players, or 3 of the 9, I guess it is, counting the DH, are left-handers. So it's a heavy right-handed lineup. We'll see how that works tonight. Slater has improved. He can hit. Volpe, he's hit a few home runs here in the last few weeks, but he still hasn't proved he can hit consistently. Wells can't hit, period. Caballero, who knows yet. Stanton, I went through him. Bellinger, I talked about his mini slump. We'll see what happens. Rosario, I don't know. Goldschmidt, I talked about him. So is there anyone that believes tonight that the Yankees are going to all of a sudden break out of this slump and put up 10 runs against the Rangers? The good thing the Yankees have going for them tonight is you got Max Fried pitching, all right? Max Fried is still their ace. He has not been very good since the All-Star break. Part of it was that blister on his finger. Part of it is who knows what it is. He's just not been very good as he was early in the season. So we'll see if he can hold the Rangers. The Rangers are not a very good hitting team. So hopefully Fried can go 7 innings hold the Rangers down to no runs or 1 run, and maybe the Yankees can put some runs together and win this game. They have Fried, Rodon, and Warren going against the Rangers. They're 3 top pitchers, I guess. I'm not sure Warren's a top pitcher, but from a starter standpoint right now, he's definitely in the top 3. So this is a very, very, very crucial series for the New York Yankees. I mean, I mentioned where they were in the standings already. They're in third. They're in third right now. Tonight, the Red Sox are hosting the Royals. That's a team they can probably beat. I mean, I can pretty much guarantee you they're going to beat them. And guess where the Blue Jays are? They're in Colorado playing the Rockies. So the Yankees could very easily find themselves 6 or 7 games behind the Blue Jays after these first 3 nights of the week, and could find themselves significantly buried into third place. I really don't know what else to say. I mean, I think that's pretty much says it all. We'll just have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see how this series goes with Texas, and we'll come back and we'll talk about it at the end of that series. Hope you enjoyed this. Make sure you stay tuned. We enjoy doing it for you, and if you have any comments on it, let us know. We'll try to respond to them. Enjoy watching the Yankees as much as you possibly can, and we'll see you next time on A New York State of Mind.